My name is Seiriol Davies and I'm the writer and composer of How to Win Against History, which is a devised musical that we're bringing to the Dublin Theatre Festival this September, and I also perform in it as well. It's a story about Henry Seiriol Paget, the 5th Marquis of Anglesey, who was an Edwardian aristocrat and one of the wealthiest men in the world at the beginning of the 20th century, who spent all of his fortune, which was one of the biggest fortunes in all of history, on fabulous plays with him in drag, in a dress made of diamonds. Also, he transformed his car so that it gave out rose-scented exhaust fumes. He needed a jacket to play table tennis in, and he wanted it to be green, so he made it out of real emeralds, because that's the kind of guy we're talking about. He is ultra fab, he's ultra glam, and he was such a massive disappointment to his family, who were incredibly butch, that when he died aged 29, completely bankrupt because he'd spent all the money, they wrote him out of history. They burnt every letter, every diary of his that he'd ever had. All of his internal narrative, all of his personal thoughts are gone. So our story, he's back from the grave. We don't know why, we don't know how, it doesn't matter, but he's like, okay, now things didn't go that well last time, but don't worry, I'm going to explain my story to you, the contemporary audience, and I'm going to connect with you on an emotional level because I'm going to use the most obvious art form of all, the West End musical. So it's an amazing, barnstorming, fabulous three-hander musical where 3 idiots on stage perform all of the parts of a massive West End musical. It's just a really, I think it's just a really beautiful story, and I first connected with it when, as a kid, I used to visit the stately home of the Paget family, Plas Newydd on Anglesey, and as a little kid, there I saw the photographs that the National Trust had put up of Henry, which were grudgingly put above, literally above the doormat where you wipe your feet at the back porch, and you guys can Google image search Henry Seiriol Paget and you'll see what I mean. Like, the guy is amazing. The guy looks like Freddie Mercury drove through a branch of Elizabeth Duke wearing a suit made of sellotape and then just wore everything. And then I read that he'd been written out of history, and even at that young age, like, my little bell of moral outrage rang out, and I knew, because I believe in swift and decisive action, I needed to make a musical about it 25 years later. So I did, and here we are. And I think that it's a story that tells us a lot about queer history, about narratives that are allowed to survive, that aren't, and I think it tells us a lot about our world today. Also, it's fabulous, it's ridiculous, it's a huge amount of fun.